Under item F is presentation of Patricia Erickson, 27 Forever Foundation, references request for in-kind services, Hope, Health, and Harmony Festival, October the 12th, 2013. Erickson.
Good evening, and thank you very much for allowing us the privilege to speak to you this evening. My name is Patricia Erickson.
I'm Gail Antler.
We're standing here before you this evening to ask the City of Gastonia for support for our 27 Forever Foundation's Hope, Health, and Harmony Festival at the park October 12th. We are requesting the use of Sims Park, and in addition, we are requesting the following in-kind services: police, fire, emergency, medical personnel, electrical hookups, and sanitation.
27 Forever Foundation was founded last year when Pat's son Andrew Erickson and my son Blake Robinson both died at the age of 27. Pat and I, distraught with grief, made a commitment to each other to do all we can do to save lives of others suffering from the same illnesses of our boys, diabetes and liver failure. Our goal is to educate Gaston County and hopefully beyond about the need to cure diabetes and educating people of the importance of organ donation.
Hope, Health, and Harmony Festival at the park will provide an opportunity to do both. By partnering with Caramont Regional Medical Center and their diabetes healthcare team, they will help provide information to our community about diabetes prevention. Diabetes is a disease that causes many human organs to fail, causing heart attacks, kidney failure, amputation, blindness, and death. My son being one of diabetes' many victims. Statistics show more and more children who are obese are diagnosed every day due to the lack of proper nutrition and exercise.
Second, to provide the necessary information to all adults 18 years and older about how to become an organ donor. Organ donation is imperative to saving lives. Over 3,500 people in North Carolina alone are waiting for organ transplants. Sadly, there are more organs needed than are available, and many die, like my son, waiting on an organ.
Our partnership with Caramont Regional Medical Center and their diabetes wellness team will provide free diabetes and blood pressure screenings and literature about becoming an organ donor. Caramont's wellness team will provide answers to healthcare questions, including the pros and cons of different medications for diabetes. We are welcoming our local fitness businesses such as the YMCA, CrossFit, and Gold's Gym to provide fitness tips. The day will be filled with education, games, fun, food, and lots of fabulous music. That's a promise. A perfect outing for the whole family. Ideally, we hope to promote a healthier lifestyle, which in turn will save our community millions of dollars in the future. We need the City of Gastonia to help us teach wellness. A healthy community is a progressive community. On behalf of Gail and me, we thank you for your time, and we hope you'll support our festival. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you both very much. Is there other questions? Any? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies, I actually have a friend that is a recipient of an organ that has been donated. Real briefly, can you, many folks, I believe, as you probably do, don't understand how easy that is and what can be done to facilitate the donation of an organ when one passes. Could you very briefly just outline that?
Well, actually, it's you can be a living donor. I want to make that clear. One misconception I would like to make clear is that even if you are a cancer survivor having been through chemotherapy, you can still be a donor. Most of the time, sadly, someone has got to pass on in order to contribute their organs, but it's a very simple step. if you all would look at your driver's license this evening, if you have a red heart on your license, that means you're already registered to become an organ donor. If you're not, that is part of what Hope Health and Harmony is about. And it's in education is the best way to make more organs available.
Thank you.
And it doesn't matter how old you are.
That's right.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank
That's all I have.
Okay, Ms. Gregg?
Motion to approve the in-kind service.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? Any other questions? All in favor, please? Thank you very much. It is unanimous. Thank you very much. The next presentation under item F is Mr. Tim Galls, Duke Energy. The reference is River Bend Plant Decommission, Mountain Island Lake. Tim? Clemson's doing well tonight, it looks like here.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, members of council, thanks for this opportunity to come and share some information with you about some of the activities that Duke is undertaking at the River Bend Steam Plant. It's good for you to understand what some of the issues are around the plant, since City of Gastonia is, I guess, the largest water purveyor in the community, and our River Bend plant sits right on the shores of Mountain Island Lake, which is the water supply for one of the water supplies for the region. As I said, River Bend is a steam station located in Gaston County, and we've opted to retire River Bend, as some of you know, effective April 1 of this year. It came down to an economic decision for the company after the plant had been in operation for over 80 years, and it has served its community well, providing a great tax base for Gaston County and a lot of jobs, and certainly an abundant supply of energy to the region, which has powered our manufacturing and business and homes, as I said, for over 80 years. But as the Environmental Protection Agency began to increase its requirements on air quality, Duke needed to make a decision, as I said, an economic decision, to either upgrade the plant or to look at decommissioning the plant. In the case of Plant Allen, south on the Catawba River, we made the decision to add the additional infrastructure to that plant to put scrubbing equipment on the plant, and it cost us upward of $1 billion. And in the case of River Bend, we couldn't see that justification and made the decision to close it 2 years early on April 1. So what does that look like going forward? Well, it's a multi-year process. Basically on April 1, the team of employees who operated the plant on a daily basis left that facility, and another team of individuals came in to start the decommissioning process. They go through the plant, they look at all of the infrastructure in the plant, do an assessment with the idea that all of the equipment in the facility will be removed, that the structure will be demolished, and any materials or metals that are there will be recycled if possible, and other metal will be disposed of. So it's a multi-year process to go through it. Just as it took years to build it, it takes years to disassemble it and do it in the proper way. This plant is one of 7 plants around the state, 7 of 14 coal plants that will be retired this year. And in its place, we have built newer, cleaner plants that are operated with natural gas. The price of natural gas, as you know, has fallen, and so our company in its integrated planning process decided to take advantage of it, and we've invested over $9 billion in new plant investment so that we can have more efficient and a cleaner plant that emits about half of the carbon dioxide that we would have seen before. So there are those who would like to see us eliminate coal from the equation completely. If you think about the successes that the company has enjoyed with the lower rates over the years, it's because we've been able to manage a diverse fuel portfolio strategy using hydro and nuclear and coal and natural gas, wind and solar power. And so we want to continue to maintain that diversity, and because of that, we've been able, as some fuels have risen and fallen over the years, we've been able to take advantage of the cheaper fuels to provide energy to the community. Now, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the plant operation itself and the water quality. We have complied diligently to the water discharge permit that we have with the state. We've been monitoring water quality at Mountain Island since the 1950s. The data has been supplied to state agencies that are responsible for water quality, and the data continually demonstrates that the water quality is good, that the fish are healthy, and that our drinking water supplies are safe. So you'll hear some discussion about seepage or seeps, and that's at our ash basins. At all of our ash basins, we've got seeps, and that's it's part of the dam's structural integrity to have a seep, and a seep is just it's a small outflow of from that earthen structure that again allows the dam to operate effectively. So the volume of seepage from our ash basin is extremely small, and it is not impacting the water quality in the lake. The data does not support claims of a grave water quality crisis on the Catawba River. The monitoring of the water at the City of Charlotte's drinking water intake, which is downstream from Riverbend, consistently finds, and these words are sometimes scare people, or they're used to scare people, consistently finds arsenic, chromium, selenium, and other trace elements. Again, these are trace elements that are less than 1 part per billion. This is less than the lowest amount that lab instruments can measure and is well below surface water standards. I want to say that again. The amounts of these trace elements are less than 1 part per billion, and they're lower than the lab instruments can measure, and it's well below the surface water standards that the state uses. Then you'll hear conversations about groundwater monitoring. We have groundwater monitoring wells around our facilities. At every facility where there's an ash basin. At Riverbend, we find elevated levels of iron and manganese only. These are common to North Carolina soils, and they pose no health risk to drinking water. Then you'll hear concerns about fish consumption advisories. You know, don't eat the fish. And so in this case, the fish consumption advisories on the lake are not related to the plant operations. There is a statewide mercury consumption advisory for certain sensitive groups of fish. But routine testing shows mercury in Mountain Island fish is low, and it's consistently well below the state fish consumption advisory level. The other scary word that you hear out there is PCB. It's been thrown around, and in an attempt to create a correlation to River Bend or Plant Allen, PCB comes from industrial uses decades ago, but there are no PCBs in coal. So where we are now is that, as some of you may have seen in the paper, in the news, in the media, that the North Carolina Department of Environment and Natural Resources filed a complaint back in May of this year alleging violations from ash basin seepage and groundwater monitoring data that shows levels above some groundwater standards. So Duke and Diener proposed a consent order on July the 15th of this year, and started taking public comment. The state started taking public comment since that time, and it ended on August the 14th last month. This proposed consent order basically says that what we're going to do is more rigorous testing at the sites, that we will monitor the ash basin discharges, and if the regulators choose to make any amendments to the discharge permits that we currently have in place, then that will be a totally transparent and public process. So we will continue, even though the plant is closed, to monitor the facility, just as we always have, to monitor the groundwater, to do the tests and the inspections that we always have done, even though the plant is not in operation. So what we can expect, and we got a little feedback last week from the state, is that they want to pick up the pace of getting the data that needs to be submitted by Duke, and expand the parameters for monitoring at any unpermitted discharges or seeps. So that's where we are, and I guess, again, I want to leave you with the message that we're going to do the right thing. Duke has always done the right thing. We live here, work here, we drink the water that you drink, and we've always abided by the rules and the regulations that the state has to offer, and we will continue to do that. So I hope that this overview will alleviate any concerns that anyone has about the process and about the quality of the water and the responsibility that the city has as a purveyor to provide water to the community. I'll stop there and see if there are any questions.
Any questions, Mr. Gross? Mr. Gallagher, Ms. Gray?
Tim, how many kilowatts, is that the right definition for that plant on a daily basis? How many kilowatts was it doing, do you know? We measure it in megawatts, and it was about a tenth the size of one unit at a nuclear plant, to give you some perspective on it. Now, you're going to be going to gas plants or so, you said?
Yes,
Are
sir.
they going to be here in North Carolina close to this plant? Because with this plant closing down, what's going to make up those megawatts that we're losing? Or is, because there is a supply and demand out there.
Yes, you're right. And ironically, even though the economy is down in terms of industrial consumption, what we're finding is that as individuals, we're all using more energy because of all of the electronics and things that we enjoy in our homes and at work. we are, as I said, we are building additional capacity using natural gas units. We retired a plant up in Rowan County in Salisbury, near Salisbury, and we built a natural gas combined cycle plant right next to the old plant that we retired. And my hope would be that one day, because River Bend is such a strategic site, if you think about all of the infrastructure at that site, all of the transmission lines that converge on that facility, and if you think about that as a strategic distribution location, then my hope would be that one day it becomes strategically important for a new facility.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I just have one question. You mentioned multiple years decommissioning.
Yes.
Do you have any kind of feel for what that multiple years are?
It's a multi, could be 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 years.
Yeah, and I would say closer to 3. But again, just as it took time to build it, we're very meticulously looking at the plant, and we are working with those regulators who are also monitoring what we do at the site, because we don't, as a country and as a company, there's not a lot of decommissioning experience right now. If you think about all these plants that are 50 plus years old and 80 years old, they are now reaching that time in their cycle where you need to retire them. And so across the country, this is going to be a process that many electric utilities use, and we want to use this as an opportunity to learn.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
In essence, it's very similar, I think, to what the armed forces may use. You're almost, as I understand it, you're going to be deconstructing that plant.
That's correct.
And that's going to take place in multiple stages with checks and balances within those stages to ensure it's being done properly and also with the greatest degree of safety to the public.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Tim, is Duke Power building something recently down in South Carolina area where they need a whole bunch of welders? And
Well, we...
I know it's not on this subject on River Bend, but I was just...
Well, where we're headed now, we have a plant site that we are very excited about down in Cherokee County, just right across the state line, where we would build a nuclear plant. With the state of the economy and the reduction in demand and the use of renewables and energy efficiency programs, that plant right now, the growth rate does not call for us to build that plant as quickly as we had earlier thought. The site is selected. The early licensing work has been underway now for a couple of years. It takes about 10 years to build a nuclear plant, and it takes several years to get to the point where you can start the construction. So we have sort of pushed that one out, but we're looking at partnering with other utilities to build a nuclear plant in the lower part of South Carolina. The cost of nuclear is the construction is so expensive that it puts any company individually at risk to bear the cost of that capital on its own. So partnering is probably something you're going to see more and more of in the future. And welders are in demand at all of our plant sites where we're building these gas plants. That's going to be that's something that we want to emphasize. Over in Kings Mountain, we built a training facility so that when welders come out of school, whether it's high school or Gaston College, they go to our facility and we train them again to make sure that the things that they build that are covered up inside a plant are, perfect welds and certified.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay, Tim, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your presentation. Folks, there's no one signed up for the public expression under item G. Let me take just a moment here. No, this is not under public expression. Here's a blank sheet right here if you want to look at it, Jan. Did you signed up? Are you waving? I signed up on the wrong sheet. Okay, that's what I was looking at here. Okay, I do want to take a moment, before we get into the regular agenda, I have naturally eagled out and spotted a Boy Scout back there that I'd like to recognize, and maybe he and his dad, if you'd like to come up and just embarrass yourself, tell us, let us look at you. And seriously, tell us your name and where you're in school and what you're working on. We're glad you're here.
Thank you for having us. My name's Trevor Stevens from Troop 6, and right now I'm working on the Citizenship and the Community Merit Badge. I need to come to a city council meeting and take notes. This is my dad, Glenn Stevens.
Good to see you. Sort of thought it might be. So, well, it's certainly good to have you here with us, and keep taking those notes. Most of them. So,
Thank you, sir.
We're glad you're here, and you've accomplished that goal tonight. So, okay, come back anytime.
Thank you.